Thank you. We just planted everything to the wrong spot. So, we have any agendas? No.
Michelle, did you print out any agendas?
Yes, I did. We're all taking all the grab.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'll follow you.
Are you still on now?
Everybody in America missed that.
Uh-oh. Yeah, we need somebody who's taller has more words, right?
I was looking for some way of being able to.
You can almost reach it without the chair.
Is this workman's comp if I go down?
Yeah.
I got
You have a spotter.
We'll have two claims now.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Speaking of workman's comp, we had the fourth grade versus staff basketball game today, and the entire time I was like, someone's gonna get hurt, and I'm gonna be in trouble. But it didn't. It was all good.
Very good.
I feel that
And the results of the game?
Staff pulled it out by a couple points.
Okay.
I will say that like somehow the kids scored and just kind of added random points here and there. The kids won last year, so.
Was it a state? Sorry. Okay, a little bitter, a little bitter.
I don't think when I went to, I don't think a wind foul, Brian Traylor, his refereeing was suspect at best.
Thanks.
You should have me as a rep, I know none of the rules, it would be so fun.
You definitely got
You're like, that was a 7-point shot, right? I got one. There'd be some grumpy kids if I did that, though.
What else needed the paper agenda?
Thank you.
You can bring a couple over here.
On the press.
Thank you, sir.
Very much.
Yeah. On the press, they're still warm.
I thought I was.
Getting camouflage. Yeah, I just live on my internet monster.
Paper wise.
I'm
Okay.
getting there, all right, go.
Go, baby, go.
Rick, I trust the auctioneer was checked in on the date for May 18th for the Blodgett Summit. Is that accurate?
Well, how did you know that?
I was out today and I marked on my calendar. I said, we have the auctioneer. It's like,
Yeah, she called the auctioneer first to see if the date was okay with the auctioneer.
that's kind of what I was wondering. So,
It's May 18th.
May 18th.
May 18th.
At what time? Do we know?
Probably 6 o'clock, I would
6
guess.
o'clock, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were we auctioning?
The Diamond Dip out of Blodgett. Yeah, and they're gonna have some silent auction items this year.
Taco dinners.
See if they can't speed it up a little bit. Taco dinner, yep. So, it'll all be good. Especially the bananas.
That thing goes for a while.
Oh, yeah.
That's
It gets even better.
Well, I have reading glasses, but I don't bring them around somewhere.
No, that's one thing I always look forward to, and it was really bad during COVID when they didn't have it, and it's like, I don't have any banana cream pie.
Another person makes it.
Yeah, I do now. Mine just don't taste that good. I can make it, but it doesn't taste that good.
And then I just hope everyone knows that I'm looking at our packet on my phone.
And not just messages, yeah.
We're running big games on that.
45 pages.
Right. Instead of the.
The video isn't showing up. Oh, Susan, since you joined, do you have the option to turn your video off?
There you go, come on.
There we go.
Good go.
You get it back?
No, they don't have sense.
Your camera doesn't want it.
Is your sound off?
I just turned it back on. Okay, turn my sound off.
Okay,
Have you got video back?
yeah.
Okay.
Good go then.
So,
Okay. Okay, call meeting order.
yeah,
Joe, you want to do the first?
there's multiple flags around.
Ready? Okay. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Yeah, I actually remembered to bring in pictures.
Okay, approval of the consent agenda. And we have one addition to the resignation part of it. And that would be Cynthia Bartuzzi.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as. Okay.
I second.
Okay, been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Motion passes 4-0 with one absent. Thank you. Request for agenda modification.
I have one, which is the student representative on the board. Hopefully everyone has in front of them
Yep.
printout, but it would be under discussion, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you want to add that? Okay, strategy, and it's going to be P6.
Did you come to share SEAC information? Okay, just making sure that we're not missing anything while we're doing agenda modifications.
She had nothing better to do on Thursday.
There you go.
All right, nobody has any further modifications? All right, student government report. Okay.
So it was the first week of track three. And like it's been pretty smooth so far. Spring break is next week, so we have a little buffer before we really get into the trimester. Matilda ran all last week. That was a middle school production, and I saw it. It was really good. I think it was Saturday afternoon. The dance team and team both went to state. I don't believe either team placed, but it was good to see them go. We had send-offs for them. And with the year starting to wind to an end, we had 8th grade orientation this week, where they got a tour of the school. And ASB is starting to make plans for homegoing week, which will be at the end of May. So there'll be fun activities like dress-up days and a luau, barbecue, powder tuck, which is when the guys play volleyball. And we're going to do a field day again, which is something we started last year. So.
Good deal.
Ryan, sir, could you?
Okay.
I didn't know what to do.
Does he have to get dressed before he comes in?
No, he just has to put bags on over his.
That's what I mean, he has to get dressed before he
I
comes
know,
in.
yeah.
That's okay.
You'll see.
There before he comes.
There's a lot of curiosity in that. See in a second.
He's a farmer, tell me.
He's been branding cattle today, so. Okay.
That's
Anything
all I
else?
have for right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Public comment. So, none? Okay, all right. So now we'll go to reports, association report, PEA.
Mayor,
I
I
did.
have no credit comments, so you have to know that. One, kind of student report addition is we do have a, blood drive. Our spring blood drive is the 21st. I think it's 21st, public, welcome to attend, so we know that some people signed up for that, get our
April
photos in.
21st.
April 21st, yeah. Ready to go. I don't have much to report from PEA this week. We're continuing to work on some items that are hoping that we can get some, moving on over the course of the year as part of our ongoing conversations about MOUs and some things to get us in a little bit better shape going into negotiation next year, maybe pre-settle a few things. And we've been very pleased with the willingness of board members and the superintendent to communicate with us clearly as often as possible. And it's been nice to see people in buildings. Saw Rick in the building not all that long ago, actually. And so that's good. We're all looking forward to spring break, and I know these guys are going to be talking about great things that are happening in buildings, and just so that you know, just every day is a great thing in every building in our district, and our licensed members are working hard every day in every class to bring our kids along. Our kids are doing great, and it's been a really nice environment, I think, in most of our buildings this year. And it's a very pleasant workplace currently, and hopefully continuously. So BEA is happy. As happy as BEA ever gets.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
OSEA. On CQ, Nancy Griffith, LBL, BSD.
It's great to have Nancy here. Nancy is has been at the ESD for a while. She's been recently selected as the assistant superintendent at the ESD, and it's great to see her working in that capacity and for her to be able to be here and share stuff with us.
So before I get started, I want to make sure that this was sent over, so I'm just making sure, just giving copies, so just making sure. So it's, yes, I am the new assistant superintendent. I've been in that role since October. I have been at the ESD, actually Susan and I worked together on the Student Success Act board before she became superintendent, so she was along for quite a while. And, you know, one of the things that this document shares with is just some of the services that LBL provides to Philomath. And so I just wanted to give you the opportunity to ask any questions that you might have. And then just wanted to say hi and support you in the meeting.
Well, welcome. One question, and this is just me not knowing what this, I know what the word means, but not in this use case. On the executive summary, it says districts are able to transit up to 50% of their available tier 2 resources. Now, I know what transit means, but I don't know what it means in this setting. So can you explain that?
Yes, I can. So we have a tier 1 and a tier 2 level of service support. So do you know
Yes,
that part of it?
that part of it.
Districts can pull that percentage of their tier 2 dollars to be able to support programs that maybe ESD doesn't have. So for example, we unfortunately had to let go of our attendance services at the end of last year. If Philomath had someone that they wanted to do that, they could then transit money to be able to pay for that. Or nursing. I know Lebanon has nursing, the day 2 that we don't provide, so they can do that. But in order to do that, it has to be a service we don't provide.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
I'd just like to reiterate that we had a meeting with all the regional superintendents and Nancy and Jason held at Philomath High School last Friday. And it's been interesting, even in the 4 years that I've been doing this, that the tenor of that group has become quite supportive and genuine in some really good ways over the course of those years. And it's really nice to be able to dig in deep to some of the conversations that face all of us. And be able to reach out and say, hey, I got this going on, do you too? And being able to see what we get. So it's just a nice mix and a very nice and trusting leadership model for the ESD. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
MTSS presentations, KARTII.
The question was to start bringing in some information from the schools and to allow more to come forward. And so wanted to be able to start honoring that. And we had said that we would come back with report information about the RTII information that we heard earlier. And why is that not showing? Oh, that's because I froze the screen. That's why. Answer my own question. So, so this is a piece of what you had heard about earlier from Abby and Eric and company, and kind of where the so what of it. And we've also brought Philemon High School to talk about their part of the umbrella and some of the things that are happening there. So, thank you.
Yeah, we're glad. I'm really glad that Susan said that we could be back, that you invited us back, and we could bring some people that live this work every day in the trenches, I should say, and we have some data highlights, but just to not to put any board member on the spot, but do you need to remember what MTSS stands for? Sorry.
Multi-tiered system of support.
That's right. There you go. There you go. It's the idea that we do need to kind of tier, and another education needs term is we want every kid to get a guaranteed and viable curriculum, a core intervention and support. And RTII is a term that the state adopted, and Molly can kind of talk a little bit about this, but it was kind of the special ed side of like, when a kid's not responding to intervention over time, does that make us wonder or not whether they have special education? When I was a brand new teacher, when I had a kid who was brand new to our school, came in and she couldn't read, and it was like, how do I get this kid help? How can I get this kid help? And the answer was, well, you got to get her into the special ed process. And the wrong aspect of that is that there's a lot of kids who actually don't necessarily have a learning disability, they just need access to high quality instruction. And we can actually do better by even our kids who do have special needs when we have a strong core, when we intervene, and we can do that. And you guys are, you understand an ounce of prevention, pound of cure. The idea is that if you intervene early and you support kids with high quality instruction and have that system, then you're gonna help more kids achieve. And so it's really cool in our system, and I'm really proud to be part of it coming into this district, is that there is a robust MTSS system so that we account for every student. A parent doesn't have to say, hey, just based on the teacher saying, I need help. It's a system that looks at all kids and screens. And so if you go to the next slide, you'll see there's maybe an umbrella that kind of recognizes that the idea of tiering can happen with academics and also social, emotional, and behavior. And in our system, we use the Friday afternoon times with our grade level teams to review our screening data. Similar to like the medical model, sometimes this really helps people understand, is like, why do we do hearing screenings? Why do we do vision screenings? So we want to figure out how we can help kids. And so we have this core review where we see how are our kids doing. And then as a result of that, our teachers will work together to implement strategies, refine their core, and do this work. And sometimes even like we might have, and I want to be really clear, we don't have a perfect system, and there is no perfect system. So one of the things that you'll hear tonight a little bit too is that what are our opportunities when something's not working, even when we have a certain intervention, and how do we problem solve? And that's something our team is leaning into, and we're going to share a little bit more about that. But I thought it would be great for you to kind of have a chance to hear from the team and see kind of a snapshot of what if you were the third grade team at PES or at the middle school and you're coming here, what kinds of visuals would you see? I hope that gives you a little bit better insight to that program. So, with that, I'll turn it over to my colleague. Everybody should introduce themselves as they become. So I'm Eric, the principal of PES.
I'm Molly Bell, I'm an RTI specialist, and I focus on grades 2 and 3 at Philomath Elementary School and support Blodgett as well as they need it. And so we, for the past 7 years, have been a part of working with Oregon RTII. They have supported over 100 different school districts around the state, and so this is the map kind of shaded in of all the districts that they've supported over the years that they've been doing this project. And I wanted to go ahead and put their model kind of in there because I think it's really important to kind of see the statewide goal that they have, that every child in Oregon school district will receive equitable access to evidence-based core, strategic, and individualized literacy instruction in order to become a proficient reader. So they have really focused tightly on reading instruction as their focus, and you have seen that we as a district have also included this model to broaden it, to include math when we can, and then now with the MTSS kind of umbrella also including the SEL and behavior pieces as well. But focusing in on literacy has let them do kind of the deep dive work that's helping us apply that to other areas. And so I'm just going to give you kind of a snapshot of some of the teaming approaches that are happening at Philomath Elementary School and using kind of some of our real data from this year so you can see those different levels as we're working through the different tiers of support at Philomath Elementary. So 3 times a year we do our benchmark screening where we screen the entire school. After that screening is complete, we have our core review meetings where we really look at the health of the whole grade level. And so this includes the grade level teachers, myself, and all of our specialists that work with those grade levels so we can all kind of have our heads together. This is an example of the second grade data from Philomath Elementary School this year. And just to kind of go into one point, we started the year and took a deep breath when we had 44% of our students showing that they were high risk in reading. And the teachers dove in and they set a goal for where they would like their students to be for the winter benchmark. And they wanted to get that percentage to 25%. And when we had our winter data, we had a little celebration when that was actually to 22%. After the work that we've done that fall. And so as those percentages shift, you see the yellow gets big because those red students have moved up to the yellow. And so then as we move to the spring, we want to reduce that even more and move more students up into that green tier so they would be at low risk. And that risk score is taking into different components. It's their fluency, their speed of reading, their accuracy, the words correct, and then using the computer adapted test, which does comprehension vocabulary pieces as well. So it's not just one skill, it's kind of that overall reading look that we do to get those percentages. And so after we do that and kind of set those percentages, we go deeper into a problem analysis. Like we know we can always do better, and this helps us focus specifically on that cohort of students because we know every grade level as they come through might have different needs. And so our iBanding data breaks it into these different components of literacy, and it just helps us give an idea of really focusing on what that priority skill is and then doing instructional adjustments to help strengthen that skill. So on this group, the fall data was in orange, winter in blue, and so the second grade team looked at their phonics score and said, oh, we have only grown from 29% at low risk to 45%. We still have some high risk there, 26%, and so they're focusing still on phonics in their core instruction to really help move those numbers. Our core curriculum has more materials than you can use in a week. And so this helps us really prioritize, oh, our high frequency word instruction, we maybe could back off on that a tiny bit because they're showing that they're strong there and add in some extra phonics, extra vocabulary to move those specific skill areas. That's part of that core that we're adjusting that for everyone across that grade level. And then After the core review meetings, we also have students that we know need more based on those results, and those are the students that we then have intervention planning meetings for. We've done some extra screening so we know what skills are needed, and we match them with the validated intervention programs. And after the intervention block, we're progress monitoring, taking data points that whole time. The team comes back together again, and we do an intervention review meeting. And that intervention review meeting covers all of the intervention groups that are happening with that grade level. And we really look at the groups themselves to see if the groups are growing. And then within that, we look at the individual students. Sometimes you might have a group of 3, 2 of them are doing really well and 1 student struggling. And so we want to make sure that we look deeper into that 1 student to see if we need to make adjustments to the intervention. So that's where you see the minus for non-responsive. We might go into more of an individual approach, and they might go down towards that tier 3 layer. Or if the intervention is working, the plus sign responsive, we would keep doing the intervention until they got to matching our decision rules to exit them from the intervention. And go back one more time first, 1 second. The tier 3 area is where we're working with Oregon RTII this year to strengthen our decision rules and processes. They've given us some really great information, and at the schools we're really trying to look at gathering that diagnostic data before we go into changing the interventions. We need more information. And so that's an area that we are growing in, how to gather the right information to help really figure out what we can do to help support that student. And so that's its own process we're in, where it's getting down to the individual student, where the tier 2 layer is more like the groups of students and the interventions. So that's just kind of a quick look at the different types of meetings and processes that are happening across the different school buildings with our RTII system. And now we're going to take a look at some of the data.
I'm Abby Couture, principal at Jones Primary School. When Eric and I presented last time, we promised we would show you some data. If you remember, maybe I'll remind you, you go to the next slide, you'll see in the fall for reading, we had 55% of our kids in the grade range are at or above grade level, and 42% in the middle. So half of our kids were at grade level that came into kindergarten. You look at our winter data, we've got 74% of our kids there. So it's huge growth. And we're really proud of that. This is our K1 reading altogether. So we're showing growth. And then all of the kids that are up there in the red, those are all students who are receiving what Molly was just describing in the tier 3. We're doing individual problem solving, and we've got it solidified. We're doing double dose of intervention, and we're tracking data to show growth and really helping those kids to make progress toward grade level expectations. And then in the middle, those kids are receiving tier 2 supports, which is 1 intervention per day, and they're showing growth as well. When you look at math growth, math looks much better as well. We started off the year 17% at grade level, 74 in the middle, and we've grown 40% at grade level, 57 in the middle, and then we've decreased the kids that are really struggling to 3%. So we're making really good progress. And back.
We are going to look at the whole school of Philomath Elementary School. So this grades 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we've compiled that together just to give you a quick snapshot of the growth that's been happening. And so this is looking at our math iReady score. So the fall score there, you can see the very tiny green line, right? And then if you go to the winter, that is growing. We still have a big chunk that are kind of more at that tier 2 level of support, which is letting us know across our core curriculum we need to do more. We don't have the resources to do interventions with that many students, and so the teams have been diving into those core review meetings to really do that problem analysis there, knowing that it needs to reach a large population of students in math. But we have, the red has gotten smaller. If you look, we went from 36% to 16%. So growing and still wanting to do more is kind of the snapshot from that slide. And then in reading, again, we're really excited as you look at that green band now at 53%, where we want them to be at grade level. The yellow stayed about the same, but so that red has really shifted to green, which is super exciting. All the work that the teachers have been doing, we're seeing that, and then we can really target those students who are at the kind of needing more of the tier 2, tier 3 support to continue to meet those numbers. Thanks.
I'm Adeline Stewart. I'm one of the RTII teachers at Loma Middle School. I'm going to show you the school-wide data for reading. And so we have our fall benchmark and our spring benchmark. And similar to the data that you've already seen, where you are focusing on those kids in the red in particular, and even more narrowly, it's the students at the middle school who are not receiving special education services or any services in that way, but are still severely below grade level in reading. So we're looking at that. This is our whole school, so it's 6 through 8, from fall to spring in their reading. And as you can see, green has grown and red has gotten smaller, which is the goal. So I can break it down a little bit for each grade level. This is 6th grade. It follows pretty much a similar trend, which we like to see, particularly in 6th grade with our kids who are reading above 2 grade levels, above their academic year, which is pretty cool. And then we'll see a similar trend with 7th grade, really focusing on shrinking the red and growing the green, and then 8th grade as well.
I'm Steve Bell, principal at the middle school. So we're in our 3rd year having these services at the middle school. And so reading has been the focus. It started as a focus, I think, in that really strong. That's the model that RTI had, is through reading. And actually, it's mostly elementary where RTI lives. Middle school, there isn't a standard program because there is no standard middle school system. And people will be shocked that middle schools are not the same everywhere you go. And so it has been a bit of create our own of how this works with our daily schedule and our daily system, and how it's just not as flexible as elementary can be at times. And so it's been creating these courses and this work, and how do you provide interventions, and how do you provide them extra support even like in their lunchtime or after school. And it's ongoing interaction needs to take place, and this is what Addie Stewart and Nancy Thompson provide and do for our students, which is wonderful. With a lot of other staff supporting as well, but their leadership role there. And so reading's been a focus. We'll also be going into math even more because we know math skills also need support. And so we're talking about how to do that. And we're still sort of stuck in getting there to get it to work with the schedule and dividing up, like how do we reduce what's currently happening, reduce services maybe to reading and add in math, but reading is super important too. And so we're still sort of struggling with that on how do we have this work with what our resources will provide for us. And so we're super excited that we have students that do not qualify standard for special education services, and we struggled for many, many years, like how do we get more? How do we help? Because we know, and it's really hard to see students not be successful in a standard system of what we provide. And so having this opportunity to have kids assigned for individual services and structured support is super satisfying for our staff and also for our families. Because many families know when they have a student that's struggling, a child is struggling, that's hard to watch and to have, and now there's a way we can help provide support. So we're super thankful that this opportunity exists and that our staff is dove in and really excited about the products and movement. So thank you for that.
So I think I need to close it up. We'll probably be, coming back again, and I hope you'll invite us back, because there's so many different where this conversation can go. I think about, maybe the principal, and I hired some new IAs for our classified staff, and thinking about what Addie and Molly do in the system to train those people when they come in. It's like, here's the student, here's the need, here's the program, just how we leverage our resources like that. I mean, there's just a lot of different ways that this work shows up on a day-to-day basis. It's really powerful. And at the same time, we're a community-based school. I love hearing about bros trying to play volleyball, and last week our kids walked to Matilda and the jogathon and talent shows and all those things. And I love how, like, at least at our school, how like we can still give high quality core and interventions, and we still can work in those things that really get kids out. They get up in the morning and they're excited to come to school because something fun's going to happen. And so I really like how we're really trying to make sure that as we do this, that we continue just to bring the joy. And because all that kind of leads to the ultimate vision is to graduate every student and transition them into a job, training, or college. And I personally believe that the systems that we're doing are just core to that vision, to make sure. I think I said the last time we presented, like, it's in the information age. If you cannot read, you can't access the information. Taking the iron away from the Iron Age or the bronze in the Bronze Age, Stone Age, whatever metaphor, kids have to be able to read, and they have to be analytical thinker. We know the world's changing too, so mathematics and how we're giving kids those foundational skills. I'll just put a plug. We do have a team at Bowman Elementary that wants to start looking at math programs. We did get a funding for a resource that's kind of a supplemental that the kids have been really excited about, called Reflex, that we've been using. There's a couple gaps in our core that we're looking at, but we hope to come back next year, sometime in January after we tried out some different programs and be able to kind of have an open dialogue with you around where are current math materials and what might be next for 2025, fall 2025. So that's something to look forward to hopefully next year.
Great. Thank you. Great.
So, are you all open to questions?
Yes.
Okay, because I have some questions. I, first of all, love these programs. They're so important. I love seeing the improved scores. It makes me so happy. I do have a question on the students who don't qualify for special education. I know we've seen a lot of research and a lot of change on how different, and it's very gender-based, so I apologize, I'm using gendered language now, but that girls in a classroom who might have ADHD or might have autism present very, very differently. And is that something that's being kept in mind as you're looking to possibly identify students who might qualify for that highest level, who might actually need special education? We ask so much of you. Are we giving you the tools to keep up with that? The changing research and
I would say when we do our screening data, if you can't sound out words or you can't do this, then we're not going to say, we do think that sometimes when we do the autopsy work at the end of the year of our state scores, it's that's how is our system doing? But as we live in this day-to-day work with our screening and all that, we're giving interventions to kids based on their scores, regardless of their identity or whatever. So that's really important. And I think where I was kind of going with the special ed is that before we jump to a special ed process, it's best practice to do interventions. And obviously, it's a bigger conversation about a student who has maybe is presenting autism or whatever versus a specific learning disability like dyslexia. So that's a whole other big conversation. But ultimately, what you're asking about is that does this system? We're not intervening to kids just to say we're not ever going to find kids eligible. I think our current special ed numbers are about in line with what the state reimburses us at, which is about 12%. And so we are in line with our child find practices.
It's a little different than middle school in that when I was talking about students who don't qualify for special ed, we're kind of fighting against time in middle school because it has to do with the amount of classes that you have in a special education room or in an RTI room. And so we tend to split those things. So they're receiving services, they're just not receiving them from me if they have accommodations or any sort of qualifications for special ed. So that's a little bit of the difference there, because then it's just splitting hairs and different time with who's going to provide the service, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, I have one question. Sorry, everybody. But actually, no, I'm not sorry. I have a sort of a bell curve in my head of maybe some of these opposite end of the spectrum of the bell curve. High achieving students and setting them up for success post-school. Say their scores are tremendous, they're doing so well, are we giving them tools for what it looks like after they're out of this very regimented educational system and then they're going off to college? That's just a thinker. That's not a like, give me an answer. As a burnt out former high achieving student, as we like to say these days, that I was not prepared for how to be a college student once I was out of the environment. So again, that's a thinker. And then the other thing, we keep the multi-tiered systems of support. I think that's super important part of that social emotional learning. I know that we don't have a way to necessarily benchmark that, but I do kind of question, and I think you speak to your peers in other school districts, and I think everybody across the whole country maybe knows we have behavioral issues in our schools. I would just be curious, and again, here's a thinker rather than a question. What are we doing to identify the students who are in the red when it comes to the social emotional component, who are maybe doing just totally fine academically, but are missing those empathy markers, are missing some of that behavioral stuff, and you might be doing that.
That's one of the things that when Cynthia and Donna were in earlier in the year and talked about DESA and the screener, it's a screener that takes a look at those kinds of things from the social emotional learning realm.
Okay.
More so than academic. So
Yes.
we're making moves.
Yeah, so so at the different, in the MTSS, like when we presented, every kid at William Elementary is now accessing a program of everyday speech. So we have a core SEL program, and then we do have a way we screen and identify kids who would benefit from groups with our counselor and some other staff. It's not perfect, but that is in place. And zones of regulation, Superflex, check in, check out, those are different parts of the system that we can give to kids as they need it. And even up to tier 3 of when we have mental health therapists who come into our school because they won't access it otherwise outside school. So that's happening as well. But that is a challenging area that we're continuing to work on, but we do have it in place. So.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's so fascinating to me that we're able to kind of benchmark that with screeners and tests and things.
Yeah.
Obviously observational, right. That's why we have amazing leaders in these classrooms, our teachers who can observe, but you can't observe every student, every second of their day.
Historically, just waiting till, a kid has a lot of referrals, but we know that there's kids who quietly internalize, and so the DESA does look at different, piece of that, like who is showing up, who's got their head down, who's sad, so it's not just like you have to be acting out to necessarily get support, and so I think that's a really important part of that screener, which isn't perfect.
Thank you, I really appreciate the extra time addressing those as I throw thinkers and questions.
Yeah. Can I say just add one thing? We do, when Molly talked about those teams getting together and then grouping and work kids, so in our school, there is a part of the day we call win time, so what I need time. So just as a kid might be going to get intervention because they have a gap in a skill, we also have kids who then are grouped and they're able to have their needs met at whatever their level is. So it's kind of the idea that every kid should make growth wherever you're at. So that is something that we are in tune to as well. That's really important.
Thank you. I'm writing that down because I like that, what I need.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
And it's nice too, is that if the kid happens to go see a special ed teacher or interventionist, it's people just are kind of going everywhere, and it's just, I just go where I go, and I might go to a different class, so.
I'm good, thank you. I really, really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good evening.
I'm Mark Anderson, principal at the high school.
Dee Collins, I'm the assistant principal.
We're going to highlight some of our MTSS processes and then look at a little bit of our recent data.
Just have to get my cursor back to where I can see.
Now, the next slide, the next two slides are going to show some Oregon State data, and it's fairly old, but it's there to just highlight the fact that when it comes to on-time graduation, one of the biggest factors is being on track after your freshman year. And to be on track, what we expect is that a student has earned 6 or more credits because they do 24 for a standard diploma. So again, this just shows that that if we're not on track, we're about half as likely to graduate that student. So that freshman year is so important to be on track at the end of their freshman year to make sure that they're going to graduate on time. Susie, go to the next one.
What is the contract status unavailable?
That just means that if we don't know the on-track status of a freshman after their 9th grade year, if we don't have that information, then
they might have moved into your district and you didn't have something. There's a lot of reasons you wouldn't have all their information. It doesn't seem like they would today, but it happens.
and then regular attendance. And this is something that we hit with our freshman orientation or 8th grade orientation the other night. We talked a lot with the kids and the parents about being in regular attendance. That's a huge predictor as well of on-time graduation rate. So when we look at our MTSS process, we factor in not only academics, but attendance and behavior as well. So this is Dee and I's second year here, and we both came from prior schools that had working MTSS systems, and so we brought some of that knowledge and experience with us. But we also partnered with the Center for High School Success to implement new processes at Flint High School. And so we created our key performance indicators. We introduced our Tier 2 and Tier 3 meetings. We have attendance meetings once a month. And then through the Center for High School Success, we have a relational trust inventory or survey that we've already given the freshmen once, and then we'll give them again later in the spring to give us some information about just how they're connecting to their school community and to the adults in the building. So here's our key performance indicators. So this is our screener, and we check grades every Monday. So each administrator is assigned to a particular class. He has the freshmen, I have the seniors, and so forth. So we pull those grades every Monday, and then we can determine weekly where our students are in terms of what level of support they need. So you can see that if we got students in the green, which is our Tier 1 area, we'd like to see a 91 to 100% attendance rate, 1 to 2 referrals, or 0 to 1 referrals, and no failures. So, and we do a lot based on the academic piece in terms of what tier they're in. And they could be in Tier 2 academically, but maybe be in Tier 3 attendance-wise, or Tier 1 behavior. So, and students will fluctuate from tier to tier depending on the time of the year. So we'll have students that go into Tier 2 and then come off. Some will go from Tier 3 back to 2 and then come off.
So I'm going to talk about the different meetings. So a Tier 2 meetings happen every Friday. Freshmen teachers meet every week. So they're the ones we really are focusing in on. So every week, all the freshman teachers will meet if they have one of the students on the list. So we'll look at our grades, our behavior data, put together a list, we kind of share it out. If you have one of those students, they come to the library and we meet and talk about them. Tier 2 is kind of funny. Tier 2 is the one that teachers are like, oh, they're gonna be fine. And they always want to talk about Tier 3. So that's why we got the KPIs, because it really helps them to understand why we're focusing here. Tier 2 kids are the ones that, with a little intervention, they're gonna pop up, they're gonna be fine. They just need a little extra support. Typically, they're the ones that the teachers really can influence the most. So we really try to get them in there and to talk about what can we do advisory. Oh, I have a great relationship with him. Let me let me talk to him and see what's going on, and so we kind of support each other that way, and it works really well. The administrator for that grade level is there, the counselor, and then the teachers are too. So we just kind of all work together to problem solve the little things that are going on and see if we can just get that grade up or support it in whatever they need.
The 10th grade, 11th and 12th grade meet.
Oh, monthly.
They meet monthly. So while the 9th grade team is meeting, the 10th grade team will meet as well. And then the following week, 9th grade and 11th grade, and then 9th and 12th, and we just roll through.
So tier 3 are students that just have just more significant problems, you know. I think it's 2 or 3 Fs, some Ds, you know, their attendance is usually in the 80 percentile range. So there's more things going on. So those are things that are, you know, the counselors, the admin team work together, and sometimes the SPED teachers, we all come together to try and just see if there's something more. In these meetings, typically we schedule family meetings, we make phone calls, we do referrals for mental health sometimes. So this is meetings where we do some deeper work to try to solve the problem and get to the root of what's going on instead of, you know, maybe the symptoms, I guess you could say. So at these meetings, these are every Tuesday and they're once a month per grade level. So we use a team. Our attendance meetings are once a month. It's usually the first Friday of the month, unless of course it's the first, because that's when the data comes out, and so it's kind of a quick turnaround. So what we do is we look at students, so we look at the monthly data, and we look at students that are in the 85 to 89%, because those are the ones that are easiest to, again, influence. It might be, you know, they just talk to them and say, hey, what's going on? They're like, oh, I just wasn't feeling very good. I'm like, oh, you know, too sick for school is, and go over it. You've been missing a lot. We're seeing this. Talk to them about how long it takes to, you know, make stuff up, you know, some different things. So those, that's where we kind of focus. Our goal is for every student to be there 95% of the time. That's what we want. But, you know, I guess 90% is what the state's looking for, but 95 is where the research shows that they're the most, they have the most success. So that's why. Things that we've done in this meetings, we try to send something out in our newsletter monthly about attendance, just a little reminder about attendance, you know, spring, you know, allergies and just some different things like that. In the past, we did a nudge letter. We haven't done it this year. That was just like if you were in that range, we would send a letter home to the family saying, your child has missed this, the average is this, for those kids that were just a little over. But Synergy doesn't have the same system, and I was really struggling with getting the data right in the beginning, and so we are going to reinstitute that next year. This year it just didn't happen, so that'll happen again. So, but that's our meetings, and a lot of it is just conversations with kids, like, hey, you need to be here. So that's what we've been doing with our attendance meetings. So I just wanted to give you some data. Oh, I did forget to fill in the box. Oh well. Oh, somehow you didn't get the updated version because there's a couple things I fixed. So, anyways, I don't know how that happened. So anyways, I'll fill you in. So this is the data from the last 3 years. The juniors were the year before Mark and I came, before we started the tiered systems. So I wanted to give you some kind of baseline data.
And that's data from their freshman year.
Yeah, this is all data from their freshman year, same time, same. So this year's juniors, the end of the first trimester, 12 were not on track. There were 8 of this year's sophomores, and this year's freshmen, we were down to 2. So we've really done a lot of things to work with that group. The Bridge program is a great program that helps get kids here that, you know, maybe need a little extra support to get started. This year, something we did is kids that struggled with attendance or behavior at the junior high or middle school, when before they came to the high school, we did some family meetings to set some plans to create a good relationship between us and the parents. So I think those things were really helpful in the beginning of this year that really spoke to why things have gone well this year. Then at the end of Try 2, our one student that is still off track, one of our students dropped out and is no longer at school. And we're working on reconnecting, but at this point, they're not at our school. The other student is new to the district and has some struggling, and so he's actually in the IEP referral. So our students really are doing well. Our freshman kids are really doing well. Sophomores, you can see last year there were 6 still off track, 5 at the end of the year, and that was our first year with our tiered system. You can see, we have some different things going on there. One's dropped out. One was an inter-district transfer that has gone back to their home school. We have one in IEP referral, one is at the academy. We do have one student that's significantly behind, and we've had multiple parent meetings, continually working on it and doing our best. So I think our system is really starting to take hold and really starting to work. We're still modifying and adjusting as we change and grow, but it's going on.
And Cindy, I do have the updated, I just pulled it and saved it as a PowerPoint, so it didn't capture updates after I saved it. So I'll put the updated version in the minutes, so thank you.
So that's pretty much it's just how our program is going and the data for how it's going on.
Questions? I think I know the answer to my question, but as a parent of 2 elementary schoolers that are sick all the time, that 95% attendance is happening, as they get older, do kids make it more? Is the elementary and the primary school the sickest schools? Do they get better?
They get sick less often, but they don't attend more often. Sorry.
They get better and they don't want to miss class. And so they will come to school maybe when they shouldn't come to school. Yeah, our attendance rates get better. Hunting season doesn't help.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
That's great. It is still though, right? They will get sick less frequently as they get older.
Their immune system.
They're still hope.
Asking for a friend.
Okay, we move on to the superintendent's report.
Right? Just getting ahead of myself and what I'm trying to pull up here. So I put in the most recent news this afternoon, and you try and get out always from the directions you can. So this afternoon there was a broken pipe in the parking lot at Willis Middle School. Water was turned off at the school for the short remainder of the day. When you talk about it taking a village, Steve notified the district office, and you're probably the one that should tell the story, but notified the district office. We had Steve Collins Food Service, we had Mary McKay, one of our business office support specialists, calling to make sure we could have hand washing stations. Jennifer reached out and talked to the environmental arm of Benton County to be able to make sure that there wasn't something we were missing about water turned off in the school and we couldn't go. Somebody from the Philomath Fire reached out and asked about whether we needed to do fire watch because of if the water was shut down, it would also shut it down to the fire suppression system. which fortunately is a no, but we learned all about those. I mean, so you're talking about a whole bunch of people that just kind of stepped forward to be able to make it happen. Steve, can I put you on the spot to just kind of?
Sure, so, we don't know what happened. Water's coming out of the ground, so we shut the water off. So that's sort of the whole story. So, but what they're gonna do tomorrow is they're gonna do some excavation, they sort of located where the water's coming out of the ground in the parking lot. So digging through asphalt to find the pipe, that's gonna be a project. But what we have is the porta potties that are in around the district are gonna be moved up underneath our play shed, and washing station's gonna be there. We've bought like 500 bottles of water, and our sanitizer machines are sort of back out where they're very common, you get to see the hallway. Food service is good to go, and fire department's happy with what we have, we've prepared, so there's no safety concerns there. People are gonna park in the east parking lot, not the west parking lot, because they'll be turned off. So it'll be another day at the middle school. The biggest thing is just closing down the bathroom so kids don't actually go in there, you know, not be able to flush. So, you know, again, another day at the middle school. So I think we'll be fine, we'll be good. The result of it, we don't know yet. They'll have to excavate and see what the damage is. And as I told Beck, it's probably not gonna be a cheap fix, but it depends on how expensive of, you know, how big of a fix, we don't know yet. So Ryan Bond was super helpful, coming over and we watched it off and calling to really come in and locate the pipe, and so that was really good. Talking with Rich Salsa, fire department, that was really good. He actually contacted me first, so I called him and said, I don't know, what do we need to do, you know, and so we talked about the suppression system, does it water still flow to it? I didn't know the answer. Ryan Barn from Harwood City found out with the line, it's an alternate line, so that's all good. So my idea of having spent the night in the school didn't have to happen, so that was really good. And so, you know, again, fortunate we were there during the day. If it happened at night, a lot more water loss, we were able to shut it off. And the spring break is right around the corner, so hopefully the fix can happen during that time, and it's a very minor disruption. Hopefully.
Is it gonna affect the bus runs and stuff?
No, no, the bus goes in front of the building, so it doesn't go through that parking lot.
Okay, great.
So, yeah.
I'm assuming they've already thought of it, or somebody's already thought about this. You have two lines going to the building. The one that broke is probably the incoming water line.
Yes.
There's not going to shut off at the building, just backfeed from the fire suppression line, is there? Shut it off, like if there's another water, like they probably shut the water off coming to the building.
Right.
But sometimes right at the building, they put the shut off. If there happened to be such a thing, you could backfeed from the fire suppression line and still have the whole building with water.
I'm sure they had out those things.
I'm sure somebody thought about it.
Yeah.
That would be a cool fix for a morning, if somebody could shut a valve off at the building and just backfeed with the fire suppression line.
Yeah, and my guess is this fire suppression line has to have a certain amount of pressure, a certain amount of availability.
It's probably not
It can't reduce that.
building.
You can't reduce that, that's it, so, but yes, that's an option, I'm sure they hopefully they think about that.
I just have to say, I happened to be at the school when all of this was happening today. I was having a meeting as a parent, and they found out about it, I think, I was told about 45 seconds before I walked through the door.
Yes.
And by the time I left an hour later, I think most of the stuff had already been pretty well worked out. I was very impressed. So kudos to you and everybody else involved. That was a very fast response.
A great team effort, as Susan said, and again, it's the this community that people are calling, like they heard about it through our communications and we're calling to find out how to help or what we need to know, and so it was great. Great response from the city, they were there very quickly to locate the lines were there too.
They were already there before,
Yeah.
when I was leaving, I was like,
It's really good.
So I wanted to add this tonight to let people know, but also more as another means of communication. If people are watching the board meeting online, they get the information. You know, I may not have read my email that came from Synergy, or I may not care about Facebook and take a look at that to know from the letter that Steve sent or things that have been posted. So we thought any way we can use to be able to get word out, we'll take advantage of it, that there is school tomorrow everywhere in the district, including the middle school.
So are we able to send out a notification through the, you know how we can get a school closure and there's the whatever the
Flash alert?
Flash alert. Can you do that for that if you
Yeah.
wanted to?
Yeah. Yeah, we can do all those kinds of things. What we're working on right now is Flash Alert is one of those things you have to sign up for. And so it's gonna catch those people that have signed up. It's not gonna catch those that haven't. And so we're working on trying to do better to guarantee the systems that we have to be able to communicate with families. And one of the things that we're finding is that text is a best way for many families to be able to receive something, even if it says read your email. And so how do we make sure we stay on top of that to be able to do those things readily? So the idea is any way that we can go to be able to get word out to families and communities, we'll take every angle we can. Thanks, Steve. School appreciation, put this in last month just as a category. Like Reagan mentioned, the Philomath Middle School drama, Matilda Junior just finished. And I asked them for data and 5 public performances, including the Tea Party, and 3 school shows. So our students in our schools get a chance to go see without having to go to one of the evening or weekend performances. Tea Party, largest attendance with roughly 225 people attending, which is a huge thing. Cast and crew made up of 86 students from Philomath Middle School and 2 from the Philomath Academy. The productions continue to be double cast. And each cast gets equitable place in being able to perform. And so it's just another testament to the number of students that get involved. Jolene Latz, retired teacher from here, Shannon Webb, Katrina Kilday, and Susan Hobbs, all were involved in the directorship. There were multiple other people involved in music, choreography, set design, construction, etc. And it's interesting that some of these people are parents of students who have graduated from here either recently or a while ago that are still committed to being a part of the process of the success of these shows, which just says community through and through. The high school culinary arts program did the cupcakes for the Tea Party, and because of the piece of Matilda about reading, the cast and the crew, the district library staff, RTII folks from the elementary school rounded up new and gently worn children's books and gave them away and encouraged children to take them. Take 1 or take 2 or take 3 or, and so there were books everywhere. And of all the books they received, they have some left that they'll be able to either give to the schools to be able to hand out or something. But it was pretty amazing to have the books there. Performing arts, we've had walks down that road. February 28th was the district band concert, which is the Philomath High School Band, the Philomath Middle School Band, and the PES Elementary School 5th grade band. The choir concert for the district was last night, which is the high school, the middle school, and the Falcon Singers that are the group that goes before school in the morning at Philomath Elementary School. And the concerts are amazing, and it was mentioned last night that very rarely do you get all 3 of those groups or any of those groups together to sing or to perform a district-wide piece. And they all do it, whether it's band or whether it's choir. And it's just a nice testament to the commitment of arts and music education. The other piece of that is we know that Andrea Heidinger, our art teacher, had a parent-student night, and she does that on occasion to be able to invite people in that they can actually get their hands on and do things. And so, as a whole, the arts have a commitment, which is awesome in the district. STEAM for the Win. This is a partnership with the Mid-Valley STEM CTE Hub. The district is putting money into the STEM CTE Hub to help support. This is a particular grant that came from the Niemeyer Foundation, and it actually has our high school and Kings Valley Charter School high school special ed students involved with drones. And so if you want to ask a kid what they know about a drone, they can tell you. And the other nice piece of this is it's been a huge partnership led by the hub, but our teachers and our students, all of our students have had the opportunity to be involved. And it really is about, the primary target is not necessarily that you know how to use a drone, but it's about you have a skill set, you have something that's marketable, but you show up on time. You learn what it means to work as a member of a team. I mean, all those kinds of things that are just so important, that are a whole lot of different skill sets. So Chris Singer, who's the head of the STEM Hub and is known well around all our schools, did a presentation at the Oregon Transition Conference last week. And we had some of our folks there in attendance to support him to be able to share what's happening for our students in that project, which is awesome. I put summer learning on here because there had been word out about House Bill 4082 with $30 million for summer learning grants. And we learned pretty quickly that the $30 million wasn't going to be designed to cover, well, it wouldn't have, but it wasn't going to be designed to cover every district in the state. So there were priorities set through a formula of districts and charter schools and then ESDs. That they put out the priority list and said, we will fund these districts or these charter schools at this much money. If they don't spend that much, or if they say we don't want to, then they'll keep going down the priority list until that 30 million is spent. And so one says there's always hope. They've got listed 72 school districts or charter schools that are currently deemed eligible. Philomath, when you look at this, came out with a ranking of 232 of 281 school districts and charter schools. Which the nice part is it says something good is happening, but the other part of it says we're pretty low in the totem pole for anticipating. They're going to have to go through a whole lot of districts and charter schools before they get to us for consideration of summer funding. So that part of it was a little disappointing. ESDs I know, or I've seen, and Nancy, they're eligible to apply, but I didn't know what the parameters of the ESD funding, if it was for early intervention activities through the ESD or things like that, so.
Susan, just to add there, that's for Philomath, there's 83%, that's pretty good. And then the numbers is 83%, that's pretty good.
There we go.
I'm literally texting with Christina right now.
Yeah, well, and I just figured that eventually we'd find out because we just found out this information earlier this week. Okay. So it's brand new.
We may not have heard from them yet about that. So. Okay,
I just saw that all the ESDs were shown as eligible to be funded and thought I'd ask. So pending the approval of, what this does is leads us to a couple of summer opportunities. The approval of our early literacy success funds, which this group, the board approved a couple of months ago, and we just put in some updates that they requested from them. Part of the plans, if it goes through in the way we anticipate, is to offer a 4-week lit camp to students entering kindergarten through 3rd grade. And it was something that, Abby, did you start that with Brian? Oh, lit camp? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. That we did and then didn't do last year because we didn't have anything for summer money. And so it will be nice to be able to re-energize that both from a standpoint of literacy, but also readiness for school. It really makes a difference in some of those arenas. So we're hopeful that will be approved, and we know we'll have a summer opportunity for that age level of kids. We also know that the district has a responsibility for students served in special education to offer extended school year for students who have significant regression during breaks from school. And so that's something that comes as a part of the special education process that we have an obligation to provide. And so I was just wanting to put out, here's a couple of summer opportunities, one we hope and one we know that will exist. I mentioned earlier about the regional superintendents that were here last Friday. It was interesting because the Fluent High School Community Conference Room is also the green room for the middle school play. I walked into that room on Friday morning after the Thursday night performance of the play. It was absolutely immaculate. Absolutely immaculate. They had picked up everything out of there and moved it away, and I don't know if it was the middle school, the high school, a combination of the two or what. But it's kind of like I sat there for a little bit, just kind of like, I have a minute to twiddle my thumbs and sit for a minute, but, it was exquisite and really nice to be able to take that on. And then I will send this too in terms of just the dates to remember that I typically put out there. So those were kind of the highlights that I wanted to be able to share.
Okay, anybody have any questions? So no answer. We will move on to the financial report.
Thanks, everybody, for coming to the budget work session. Last week, we had a lot of discussion and questions and decided not to have our second work session because don't anticipate any real changes coming in funding for the next bit before we do our proposed budget at the first official meeting, May 9th. So we'll see you all again at that time. We'll have a proposed budget ready a week prior to that and published for everybody to see. Other than that, I don't have a lot. Everybody else has had lots of exciting presentations tonight. Just status quo. Just one thing to look at is our enrollment. It's approaching 1,700 for the district. We haven't been that high in quite some time, I think. So this is the time of year we tend to start seeing the springtime decline a little bit, but we haven't seen that yet, and I'm not anticipating that it will go down that much before the end of the year. So. There's any questions? Anybody? I don't have anything else.
Anybody have any questions? No. Okay. Moving right along, we're going to go to strategy and discussion. Number 1 is district goals. And what we need to do here is try to set up a work session where we can discuss the district goals that we want to have for next year.
Are we looking in April?
Or I would think we'd be in April, yes.
I'm very open, so other people with more restrictions on their time should speak up.
If we want to do anything before the board meeting, or if we want it the week after the board meeting.
In the dark hours would be great, like prior to 6 a.m. or after 8 p.m.
I don't have a preference. Except not available 17 or 18.
Well, a lot of the Mondays would be difficult for meetings, so a lot of the Mondays in April are our days.
Okay. No, we can scratch some Mondays, that's fine. Looking at the week of the 22nd would be out. We don't normally have any meetings on a Friday evening, 26th, so it'd be the 23rd, 24th, or 25th.
Any of those would work for me.
That's fine for me.
I mean, if all of them are fine, I would rather not do Wednesday, but I can do it. I can do it.
Well, I was gonna say, if we want to just kind of keep in line with things on a Thursday, because the board meeting is on Thursday, does the 25th at 7 o'clock work?
Yes.
So we want to do 2 hours?
Only scheduled for that, we might not need that.
Oh, I know, but that's what I'm saying, let's give it the 2 hours.
Sure.
Okay, so we'll do the 25th of April at 7 o'clock for the district goals. And possibly roll into that the superintendent goals to their lot of times pretty much in line with the district goals. So we'll at least discuss that, but that way then we'll get it on the agenda for the work session for district goals and superintendent goals. Okay, thanks, Michelle. Anybody else have any other discussion on that? Sorry, if we couldn't make it after 8. Plus, it's probably not dark at 8 by then, is it?
The only thing I would ask is for that meeting, if we could have a list of the current goals, either emailed to us or, I mean, I'm sure I have it somewhere in my disorganized pile of paper.
I could do that.
But, yeah, the district goals and the superintendent.
Sure.
Yep, I can do that.
Yeah. Okay. Superintendent's evaluation, I will let Joe take care of that.
The board has completed the early evaluation of Superintendent Halliday. This was done with a combination of a targeted feedback survey of staff and community members, a self-evaluation, and the evaluations by the board members. Areas of improvement and positive comments were noted, along with some areas that could use improvement. The board has heard the compliments and concerns expressed in the process. Goals will be set accordingly.
Thank you. D3, schedule work session with KBCS. We try to have 2 work sessions a year with them. Granted, it seems like we just had one, but we've been trying to schedule that for quite a while.
Right. The last one we did was in October, and I reached out to Kings Valley, and their preference would be if we could meet in May or June.
Okay.
And toss out some dates or some possibilities that they can then respond to.
I was gonna suggest May. I have May pulled up on the calendar here, so if I can get some dates from everybody.
Early May.
Huh?
Early May.
Early? Okay.
It can't do the first week or first, second, third.
Okay.
What I can do is put out a poll to see what days people are available, if that works.
Well, either that or we can just go ahead and do it
Go for
tonight. The week of the 6th.
Where we have a budget
Budget
meeting
meeting
tonight.
on Thursday.
Yeah, the 9th is the budget committee.
Bargaining scheduled that Monday.
All right, then the 16th is our regular scheduled board meeting. 7 o'clock on the budget meeting? Or is it 6?
I think it's
6.
6?
Yeah.
Budget meeting is 6 to 7:30. Well, it's scheduled for 6 to 7:30.
Okay.
And that's on the 9th.
Can we right after the budget meeting?
Could be, but I don't know if they want to do it that late or not.
Well, we can go
You
down
can try to
to-
have it at 6 or 7.
Especially if they have to grab half an hour
Oh,
from Kings Valley or however long it is.
Can we do it on the regular scheduled board meeting, the 16th at 6?
Well, it depends on whether we're gonna have a.
Well, if we have to have an executive session, we can always have a short executive session after the regular scheduled board meeting.
The work session shouldn't take that.
Well, I don't.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying that might work, you know, having.
Yeah, I don't look for it to take, 2 hours or anything. An hour should be sufficient.
I'd rather be combining things on days and that.
Well, that's why I'm trying to do that.
I'm okay with that, sure.
So we don't have to have an extra day for a meeting if we just have everything on the 16th. So I will reach out to Kings Valley
Tentatively.
and see if they are available on the 16th at 6 o'clock. Is that's agreeable with everybody? Okay. And if not, I'll have them kick back dates if they're available, and, we'll just kind of keep going back and forth to see when they're out down and have a meeting. Okay. CPS covered play area update, Jennifer.
So we had our kickoff meeting with Luna this last week, just to get things rolling. I thought I'd share a little rendering from the drawing so you guys could see what it's gonna look like.
It's gonna clear around the west side of the building there?
It's gonna cover the walkway coming out from the gym doors and go out around the back.
Yeah.
So,
Cool, I was featuring something just on the north end of it there, and maybe wrap around a little bit, but not clear down to the doors.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. I'm sure Abby is more than excited about it. They've ordered the materials and, or put the deposit down on everything. They're hoping to start even before school is out, and Abby is excited about that. They're gonna put up temporary fencing and have the playground still be accessible, just not through that area. And hoping to be done before school starts August 31st.
Is that gonna work with having that blocked off and having school?
Yep.
Okay.
We'll just have to access the playground a different way, and it's also gonna be great for summer activities, because PYC runs Fun in the Sun, and they'll still be able to use the field and the playground.
Are they gonna be coordinating with the city for the road work? Because isn't the road work happening this summer too, the extension of the road?
Yeah, they shouldn't connect anywhere in there though. They should be pretty well separated.
Two separate projects,
Okay,
but
okay.
yeah.
So they're not gonna get in each other's way?
No, it shouldn't, because that's.
I'd like to see them do it if that's what, because that would be quite a feat.
Yeah. So our crew is gonna access it from the bus lane, and they'll just stage out here behind the school. So they won't even be out on 19th Street, they shouldn't be. And then another piece of it is we talked to them also about paving this stretch that goes out to the playground to help alleviate the muddy mess that's out there. That'll be a separate project, but while they're there, we're gonna try to grade it and concrete it, so.
Okay.
It's exciting.
Does the people doing the play shed do any grading paving, or is that a separate?
They have, I think a subcontractor will come in and do it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's all part of their bid for the majority of the project.
Okay.
That concrete will just be a little bit extra.
Concrete or asphalt?
Concrete. Everything's gonna be concrete.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're right, we should last longer.
Well, it's also more expensive, that's what.
Yes.
Any other questions on covered play area? All right, we'll go on to the interdistrict.
Absolutely.
We'll have a graduation.
Oh, yeah. Could have the board meeting underneath it.
There you go. You just said party, but if you heard board meeting when I said party, then, okay.
All right, Susan's gonna quit the interdistrict transfer. And what are we looking at, changing something on?
No,
that, or just-
what we wanted to do was, we've got a policy committee meeting on Monday. And, we're, I just can't see it on my screen, but that's okay. Let's see if I can.
You want me to read it for you? I can read it from here.
It went away.
This is where my glasses come in, real handy.
Do you want my email?
There we go.
Now you lost.
Oh, yeah. So, and I'm going back to the student growth report, so it's kind of weird. Anyway, we wanted to put it out into a way of trying to be able to make some explanation about what the process looks like. So right now, we're closed down in terms of interdistrict transfers, with the exception of those that had been in process before we voted on the change. And that stays the same. We have no changes to ask for 23-24. What we're looking at is for 24-25 and how we open that process. So the policy talks about the board has to declare numbers of vacancies before the end of the school year to be able to open up interdistrict transfers. So it could be that Eric's going to say, I've got 10 slots in 4th grade that could be interdistrict transfer. I have 5. I have, something like that. And then we would work from there. So the returning students, we wanted to make sure that everybody knows that our current students who are interdistrict transferred are not kicked out for next year. And they don't have to submit additional paperwork. So we wanted to let them know that they're good. And that's the way we need to go. For new students, I pulled pieces of the policy, so it says annually before the end of the year, we need to do these things. So the hope for me is to be able to come back to you with numbers to approve at the April 18th school board meeting. And also the note that says at any regular or special board meeting, that initial allocation can be adjusted by the board. So if we said we're going to take 5 kinders and we realize that our number of Philomath students is lower, so serving our own, and we actually can have some bandwidth to take some more, we can change that number. Or if we get a sudden influx of Philomath students, that we can back that down. So that's something that can always be mobile.
Once a student is accepted, though, they're then accepted, we don't kick them back out.
That is
right. Yeah.
Yeah, unless there's extenuating
Wow.
circumstance for being able to look at that. So approval when we do it is first come, first served, with priority given to siblings of students currently enrolled and students who previously received consent for admission because of a change in legal residence. We have a student that's been with us since kindergarten and they're now in 8th grade and the family has moved to Corvallis. We're going to say, okay, if that's what you want to do. The other piece of the puzzle that the policy committee will look at on Monday currently has language about those in attendance in a district charter school. And we want to be able to look at that from the standpoint of the majority of students at Kings Valley Charter School come from Dallas and Central school districts. They don't come from Philomath. The likelihood of them wanting to attend in Philomath because of distance could be different if they chose not to attend Kings Valley. But we want to make sure that that policy doesn't open the door to say any student at Kings Valley, regardless of where their residence is, will be given priority to come in and move in here. Because then we end up in the same boat with students from Central or Monmouth Independence or Dallas, and just wanting to be thoughtful in how we language that. So that'll be a piece that we'll take a look at. If the number of students seeking transfer exceeds the number of spaces available, typo, a waiting list is created. So the waiting list will be monitored through a first grading period, and should any spot open, families will be notified. So Michelle has already talked with me, and she's lived this policy for a while. So she's got a whole lot of experience, and she's tired of me being devil's advocate, but she's got the experience with it. To be able to date and timestamp when we get requests, so that we can honor that part of it. And then the notation, if the board decides not to give consent to a student, even if we've reached our capacity and we can't accept you, there's got to be a written explanation to the family. And so that could be simple form letter in that way. Items of note, one of the things that we have been discussing that hasn't been formalized, it will become a part of the policy discussion, was the notion that I found in some other school districts that says, due to the benefit of staff having their children attend the schools in which they work, PSD staff shall be permitted to have their children attend schools in the Philomath school district. And so we would look to have the thought right now is to have them outside of the formal numbers declared for inter-district transfer. But I want to make sure we're clean on how we have to do that. But the notion of being able to say, a number of our families have brought their children here to go to school, and it's worked out, but we've never shut down inter-district transfers before. And so we really want to be thoughtful about, is that important enough to us to be able to keep our workforce, to be able to allow them to bring their children here. The other thing is the Philomath School District, the reminder, is not required to provide transportation outside the boundaries of the school district. And the notion of in order to participate in OSAA athletics and activities, there are transfer rules. And so it was the idea of trying to take a policy and narrow it down into a single page that could be shared to give us the protocols that we would be looking at that would be consistent to share for 24-25. So that's why I wanted to put this in front of you tonight. Unless there are huge hurdles, that's the direction we'll keep going.
Okay.
I have a question, Susan, if you don't mind. So we know what slots we have available, and there's 20% of our students enrolled are technically intertransfers out of district. Do we poll those people to find out how many incoming we have in the line of siblings? How do we know how many spots are going to be filled with siblings?
That's what we've talked about, and we've gone back and forth. Abby and I talked about that this morning. Michelle had talked about finding out who are those students that are current inter-district transfers that we can put notice out to say, hey, this is coming up and our process and protocol has changed, do you have? And so between Michelle and I and Abby and I, we've recently had those conversations to say, it might be worthy to reach out to those individuals instead of just doing a blanket.
I agree.
You know, everybody, if you've got somebody that you want to call your sibling to be able to come to Paloma, then, so yeah. It's
Yeah, we
it's
need
on
to
the radar.
know so
Yeah.
that we know what we've
Yeah.
got available.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Discussion, we go to the added item is,
Yes.
Student reps.
So, we've got a printout of what was used last year, around student representation on the Paloma School Board. It's not in the packet, my apologies. And I thought, we might want to review to make sure that this is still what we would like to see, and then, make the required updates regarding the board members, because as I mentioned, this is all dated 23-24 school year, so we'd have to make those edits. They didn't know if there were any other changes that we might want to make, and if there are not, then I'm gonna make sure everybody's okay with me going in and updating it further.
I didn't see anything.
Current
They look
year.
fine to me, you know,
I
they look fine.
Thought they were sworn in at the same meeting as the new school board, which would be the July meeting, not the June meeting. Am I wrong? We were sworn in July.
Yes.
And actually, I think you were sworn in at the same time. Or were you sworn in June? It was June? Okay.
Yeah.
I think we did June because of the,
Before school.
the end of the school year.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's going
Okay.
on summer vacation then.
Okay. Well, if there are any questions or concerns, I will go ahead and update this document, and then we'll have it done. Mr. Jonas only sends it to me, so he does
Never
not
mind.
have it.
Well,
What
send
we
it back
dis-
updated, please.
Yeah, what we discovered is that Christopher had built it on his district drive and no longer has access to it.
Ah,
So that's how it had gone missing. So, I'll update it. We'll make sure that you've got it. And then, it'll be in our packet. We agreed the last meeting to take action on this the first week of April, I think. So, but we're not changing any of the things other than the board members' name, student rep name, and the dates. So if you're fine with that, I'll get the finalized copy off so that we can get that started at the first week of April, or whatever the dates are, right after spring break.
Okay. Discussion and action items E1, inclement weather days. And that was a question, I believe we have 2 more days that we're talking about in this year, the 23-24 school year. And whether we want to, how we want to deal with that.
Which dates are those again?
Would be May.
There's only one built in.
Well, yeah, the Friday before Memorial Day. And then there was one possibly at the end of the school year, but.
Yes, so the information I put together was that for, it was just the updates that said we placed 2 school days originally in the calendar to use as might be needed for inclement weather. One was February 19th, the other was May 24th. Due to the winter ice storms, students were out of school for 3 school days, January 16th through 18th. Students and staff made up one of the 3 days on the February 19th date. At the February meeting of the State Board of Education, the state board approved a temporary rule allowing school districts to request permission for up to 14 hours less instructional time than initially planned in the school year due to inclement weather closures. And so the reason I'm pushing on this is we have to make a request to ODE by May 1st. So really, the options we had, option C, I blacked out because I really don't see it as an option. And that would be that we do not approve any waiver time for any missed instructional time. So we would attend on Friday, May 24th, June 17th, which is a Monday, would become a student day, and the last day for teachers would be Tuesday, June 18th. It makes no sense to stretch it in my humble opinion, it makes no sense to stretch. That would be a non-recommendation for me.
We would have to go the one room schoolhouse model, because that's how many kids would show up through the whole district.
So the option A would be to approve the submission of a waiver request to ODE for the 14 hours or 2 school days of instructional time relief. What that would mean is that Friday, May 24th becomes a non-school day for all students and staff. And the 23-24 school year would end on the currently noted calendar dates. So we would still continue to have Friday, June 14th as the last day for students, and June 17th, the Monday, as the last day for staff, which is the way the calendar is currently set up. If we were to approve the submission of a waiver request for one day for 7 hours, Friday, May 24th would become a school day for all students and staff, but the school year would end at its normal times in terms of Friday, June 14th would be the last day for students, and June 17th would be the last day for staff. I have gone back and forth in these and gotten opinions. We know that a number of our neighbor districts have opted for the 2 days. And been able to make that a reality given the year and given the time of year. And I also know of others who have said, we have people in our communities that if they need to work and don't get paid if they don't work, what's that look like? And so that's the back and forth I've heard from the district information that I have moved forward with. And so that's where we sit right now.
Joe? My tendency is with option A, with the caveat that if something happens between now and May 24th that causes another inclement weather day, then we would put the May 24th back into as being a makeup day. But my thought is that, I mean, the teachers do so much more, especially this year with the synergy implementation and everything else, that I don't see a need to make May 24th a school day at this point, personally. That's my opinion.
Should we poll the audience?
What do the teachers think of that?
Can I throw out a wild potential option C that is not that option C? What if Friday, May 24th is a school day, but we waive 2 days, so then June 13th is the last day of school and June 14th becomes the teacher's last day of school or staff last day, so they don't have to come back on that following
I
Monday.
think the problem with that is that there are people that have that 4-day weekend planned out as vacation right now as one of the reasons that, because it's Labor Day, not Labor Day, Memorial Day, in bracketing that fact that Friday's off. I'm sure there are families that already have that planned for vacation, right?
I think people have kept it up in the air because they don't know what's going on.
Anyway, I think changing the end of the school year at this point might be a little bit disruptive. I don't know. Registrar.
With Aaron's point though, why would the staff has to come back on Monday for their last day?
Yeah.
Doesn't that kind of suck?
I mean, if there aren't other obstacles to it, it wouldn't bother me to
Well, if Friday was a half day anyway, that Friday, because all Fridays are, couldn't, yeah, then the teachers grab up in the afternoon and all that. I don't know.
I'm just-
Right? I don't know.
I'm
Yeah.
just looking at it, we wouldn't even be taking up the whole 14 instructional hours that are given for labor if it's a Friday that we drop, so that's nice. But, yeah. I like my option C, obviously, because it was my idea. But I also just threw it out there without you having had a chance to consider it at all,
Mark, do you
so.
see any problems with that? Changing the end of the school year and backing it up one day? No problems that you can come to mind, Steve?
Unfortunately, yes.
Oh,
I mean, just some of our activities we planned for that, like Thursday night and stuff in for the following, for that Friday, it's like a big day. I mean,
that's.
I don't like coming back, I would love to have it done earlier, right? Ideally, right, but there's not this come back on Monday, and that we can be done earlier with the kids. I mean, that would be ideal. But to say I could effectively make those changes that we've already put deposits on and make plans for, I mean, that's, I don't know.
That's
why
why I
I wouldn't mind investigating it, but I don't know if I can from the answer. But we do, I do need, and staff does need time to check out. It's not during.
Wave goodbye
Some
and-
are, meeting with us and check it. Now, if we have flexibility in how we do that, which we normally do anyways, like, and give people sort of flex time when to come in and when to check out, I mean, that's fully agreeable.
Well, Joe brought up an interesting thing that I hadn't thought about it, and a lot of people, I think, have already planned on having the 24th off.
Some have, I know, like Nicole's saying there, I'm sure there's.
Yeah, some of them have, and that, I mean, that, you know, and going in and then taking off early, it really, because we've already had the calendar out there, and it's kind of, I like to consider it more cast in stone than anything, because we decided on that, so I hate to go flip-flop the days around. So I think our best options would be option A or option B as presented to us there.
And I think that, to Steve's comment, I think that we can institute a level of flexibility in terms of, as people check out, kind of what that looks like, but our admin group will need to have a conversation about what that could be.
I mean, there's a lot of different things that teachers do in that time to clean up the classroom operationally, report cards and all that. Some get done ahead and some need more time. So if there's some flexibility around that, then you could stick with A, and then we could work with staff that if they absolutely need to have Friday, and we could check out with them and they've got all their stuff done.
I was always one of the last ones to check out with my schools.
Yeah, if they get it all done that Friday, they're on.
So.
Okay.
So do I have a motion?
I move that you go option A.
And the only thing I would add to, I'll second. Okay, and then but leaving the May 24th, if we have any more inclement weather days, we might have to revisit.
Yeah, which.
It's unlikely.
Yeah, it's unlikely. So, okay, it's been moved and seconded for option A, which is to, basically forbid the 2 days remaining. So all those in favor?
So Susan would need to apply to the state.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just.
Motion passes.
Is it applying to the state or notifying the state?
They send us back something to a formality, but they've already said through the state board that they will issue those waivers. And so it's really more of a formality than anything else.
Okay. So moving on, we'll go to meeting closure, next meeting item agenda items.
I think we'll need to have the student representative to the board on the agenda again next month, because hopefully at that point, we might be making some decisions.
Okay. anything else? All right, I have our school board planning calendar section for the 22-23 school year, but in April, let's hold the budget committee meetings, which we're not gonna have any in April, they'll start in May. Approve a curriculum adoption or other board actions approvals as guided by PSD policy. Is there any curriculum?
There's some that we've had schools looking at that we'll want to put out for public review and to be able to look for.
Okay, so we'll want to get that on the agenda.
And it may be April, it may be May, and it may be a combination of both.
Well, maybe we'll put it as a placeholder.
Yeah,
anyhow.
absolutely, absolutely.
OSBA policy update as needed, annual board review of professional development accomplishments and outcomes.
Yeah.
I would like to see that on there for sure.
Yeah, and we will have policy as well, so.
Okay.
And we didn't get to facilities. Yeah, Joey's on his way to Arizona.
The review of the facility plan and budget in March.
And technology, so we can look at, I don't know if you want to do technology 1 month and
Well, we'll split them up,
facilities
so
the
I
other.
don't try to do both of them in 1 month.
Okay.
One in April and one in May. It says start the superintendent evaluation process, but we've got to jump on it this year, we're done with that, so. The board self-evaluation, we need to look at a date for the board to do that. So I don't know if we want to do that tonight. I don't think we're gonna have time when we schedule that meeting in the end of April. With the goals.
Or we could tentatively start talking about it then, and if we don't have time, we can schedule another meeting later.
Okay.
But that, I mean,
I don't think it'll take a long time for the board self-evaluation. And maybe we can put some of the criteria out before, and then just have the discussion that night. But yeah, we'll put that on the, was it 25th? Yeah. So we'll put that on there. Regan, you're more than welcome to come with that and put your input in, what you think's good, bad, indifferent. For the board self-evaluation, because you are a member of the board, student rep. So, then the last thing in April, it says review the Philomath Academy program. And that's by policy.
Well, and we approved last month the alternative learning plan, but that's one of the things that I was looking at in April to see if Beth and Company can be one of the sharers from our schools to be able to give us updated information.
Yeah, well, that's what the review of the Philomath Academy program is more, I took that as more of an update. Type thing, more than what we approved last month.
And that's, you are correct.
Yeah.
The other thing that for April 1st, oh, never mind, I'm ahead of myself. I'll be quiet.
Okay. I did have a question on April 1st, and that's what time are we gonna do that? Because it's put out there, and I went back through my emails, and it doesn't have a time, it just says that we're gonna do
I put
that.
it at 6 o'clock in my calendar.
Yeah, me too.
So.
Yeah, but I didn't see anything.
It's Adam's call today, and he wants to move that meeting to an earlier time, so 5 or 5:30 that day.
Same day, earlier
Yes.
time.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm okay, is anybody else not be able to make it?
Ryan probably.
Maybe.
No idea.
Well, I know, that's, I've had cattle before, so.
Schedule it.
I know how that goes. We can schedule it at, you wanna do 5?
Yeah, it's tentative
Okay.
schedule.
So we'll do 5 o'clock. Michelle, if you wanna let Vince know?
Yes.
Okay. And, so is there anything else with the next meeting agenda items? Hearing nothing, we'll go to board things. Who wants to start?
I want to thank all of you for coming tonight and the work that you put into the report on MTSS. I really appreciated that. So thank you very much for that.
Okay.
Ditto for me. And thank everybody with the little water crisis today. It does take a village.
Just want to thank all the staff, and as far as, like, especially high school, having the ending of the second trimester, that's always a stressful time when the kids are going through finals and everything else. And dealing with the kids this week with spring break coming up, I'm sure it's been crazy, especially the lower levels, but all levels, they get a little bit spring fever. And
Especially when we had weather like we had this week.
yeah, so, just thankful for our staff.
Thanks for starting out, me not waiting for me.
Thanks for putting your boots on.
Did the best I could do.
You know what Aaron said, for everybody being here, greatly appreciated, kind of missed it, in the past, because a long time ago, we used to do it pretty regular, and then it kind of went away, and now it's nice to be back and having reports of what's going on in the different schools and hear the positives as well as, because we usually hear the negative things outside the board meeting, and now we get to see and hear the positives at the board meeting, so it's very nice to do that. And once again, I just want to thank staff from top to bottom, everybody, because it takes everybody to make this district run, and it wouldn't happen without any of them. So thanks for everybody for doing that. So
I'd like to add one thing. It's one of the things that I think those that are not involved in education don't really understand. And one of the nice things about you making your presentations tonight is that there is really so much professionalism and work, and hard work, and extra time that goes into doing it properly. And if we don't hear that, if we don't have you coming in and giving those reports, it doesn't sink in as much how much work really is happening in the schools. That's what I really appreciate it.
well, if we get the reports, like in our board packet and stuff, yeah, we get it, but it doesn't mean as much as what it does when you guys come in here and tell us what these reports are actually saying, and it's very nice to hear it that way, because I know previous years we've had stuff in our packets and the board members have been like, what does that mean? We look at it, we read it, kind of halfway have an idea, but usually on the lower half, and it's just like, okay, but when it's brought in this way and presented the way it is here, puts a whole different light on it. So really appreciate it.
Well, I have to say too that having the personal presentation, just reiterates the fact to me that you guys go above and beyond for every single student in this district. And that's so commendable. It truly is. That's what makes Columbus great. So thank you guys for all your continued work with every kid here, all 1,700.
Okay. Anyone more? And with that, board requests. I don't know if you really call it a request, but I kind of like, Eric, tonight we found out earlier, I think today, when I found out, the Blodgett used to be Diamond Dip. I'm not sure what they're calling it now, but what's that?
It had a different name last year.
I know, but I don't remember what it is, but I'll probably always call it the Diamond Dip because it always was before, but they don't do it that way anymore. May 18th, out at the Blodgett. We're thinking 6 o'clock for dinner, tacos, and then an auction. So wonderful thing to go to if you've never been there. They have great desserts. Last year they expanded it into some other auction items. I know there's some wood pellets and some wine and a whole lot of different things. And this year they're talking about having some silent auction items as well as the live auction. So if you can mark that on your calendars for May 18th, it's a great thing to go to. And it benefits the Paloma school district kids that have went through Blodgett. So it gives them scholarship opportunities, excuse me, when they graduate high school, is what it benefits.
Yeah, I was, just one quick thing, I was getting late, but like the PTO that does so much for Clemens and for PES, there's sometimes things like, we have an artist in residence from Activity coming, and so I wanna make sure that the kids at Blodgett also get access to that art, so they're doing the same thing. And so those funds go to make sure they get like equitable access to those kinds of things, so.
Yeah, they use it for whatever they need to use it for, but the majority of it goes to the scholarship program, I think, but over the years, they've built up some extra that they can do different things with. So they're doing a wonderful program out there. That community is just really behind this school 100%. So.
And with that, so the meat they make the tacos from might be out of something else have the crack curling on.
So it all stays closed. Made in Paloma.
All right, no more requests?
I have one.
Yep.
So I don't know how to go about it. Do you guys think people would be receptive to a board town hall type idea of people being able to just come and talk? And they used to do it, what was it, coffee with the board?
Yeah, it was coffee with the board, and we had it on Saturdays down at Nutcakes, which is, I think, Sissy's Donuts or something now, where people is very relaxed atmosphere. It wasn't an agenda. The board was there, you know, just an interaction with people, very laid back. You know, talk about whatever you wanted to talk about. So I don't know if there's.
Yeah, it's not a problem solving thing. It's just, hey, hi, this is what.
Yeah, you know, good things, bad things, you know, things you're interested in that you want to bring to the board, but you don't want to bring it in a formal setting as a board meeting.
Do you guys think that would be a thing?
We're thinking about maybe trying that for a little bit to see how it works out, if there'd be, you know, support from that side of the table to do that with, and, you know, where we could have it at, whatnot, so.
And that would be limited to 2 board members at a time?
No.
No.
As long as we can announce it.
As long as it's a formal board meeting.
Yeah, we will just announce it, and maybe there's only 2 board members that show up, you know, because in the past, not all the board members showed up. It's not a required meeting for the board. It's, you know, if you can make it, fine. If you can't, that's fine too, but we'll post it. So if there is 3 members there, but there will be no decisions made at that work session or whatever we want to call that.
It will have to be recorded and posted online though.
I don't know about all those things, but
Anything that's a meeting.
yeah. But anyhow, so yeah, but it would be posted, and if 3 board members showed up, that's fine, but they can discuss, but no votes of anything, so.
Yeah. And I'm thinking the target audience would probably be parents or community members. Because hopefully we are getting that. I had a great listening session at Clemens. So hopefully we're putting ourselves out there at the schools, but yes, you have an idea.
I think it's great whenever administration can make themselves available to more people, more parents.
Oh, I like it.
That being said, I hold a monthly chat with the principal. I get no more than 1 parent who
Really?
attends those.
So when do you do that?
I do it at 5 o'clock on the 3rd Wednesday of every month.
Because they're probably just getting not able to get there from work or something, do you think?
Well,
I mean, I don't know.
We didn't get a lot of attendance at the coffee with the board either,
Right.
breakfast with the board, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And the people that did show up was usually the same ones time after time.
Sure.
So I don't know how well, I mean, I don't know if you can put it out there and it'll get to a different contingency of people that would want to come, or, you know, I mean, we can try it, and if it doesn't, you know, if it's the bust, then you're just not doing it anymore.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know if this is around the public meeting laws. My friend in the Hillsborough district, they said they do a thing like this with the board, they do kind of a speed dating session where you have the board assistant sponsors, they move, so you're not talking to multiple people. It's one-on-one, so you do, it's like 2 minutes or whatever, everything goes, and you just move, like musical chairs. That way, it wasn't a group discussion, therefore it wasn't a If it was a one-on-one, then you, buzzer goes and you move.
But I'd have to read the exact rule as it's written, the law. If we're in the same room, I don't know if that constitutes a meeting or
I
not.
think it might get Brad night off, not to be there.
So I don't know, you want to kind of take the lead on that, Sandy?
Yeah, I'll try to
And see-
figure things out. Yeah, it just in the nature of transparency, right? I mean, I feel it's important that people that want to know the board know the board. I didn't have a clue, a few years ago, who the board was, what the board did, why was the board here, any of that. And I just think, if people have things to say, we need to hear.
Sandy, I'd encourage you to connect up with Michelle and her
Yes, I will.
connections with OSBA,
Yes.
to be able to make sure that we can look at whatever,
Sure.
legal components,
Okay.
that might hang us up or not, so.
Okay. So Michelle, I'll get her. Might be after spring break.
Sounds good.
Okay, good.
All right. Thank you, Sandy.
Thank you.
Any other requests? Hearing none, we're adjourned.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Right. Right. And what do they call it? And I was just gonna make sure you. Okay, great.
So we worked with them for this.
I feel like we have
And so we
some sort of
talked
working
through
now
like
on
those two spreadsheets or slides and.
work.
And it was good.